What happened to Kyron Drones and the Hokies this past weekend?
Is Georgia Tech a serious contender for this year's college football playoff?
Will Virginia Tech find a way to bounce back after getting taken to church by the Demon Deacons on Saturday?
Or will Georgia Tech just keep stinging through competition, keep the perfect nest intact?
It's the 21st edition of the Battle of the Techs this weekend in the ATL. And we're here to break it all down on this week's edition of the 3304 Sports Kickoff Show. Before we head to Bobby Dodd Stadium this weekend, we welcome you inside the Center for the Arts studio. I'm Braden Schenck.
And I'm Haden Tolbert. Week 6 just wrapped up, and we had quite a few upsets this week with one opening in our very own backyard. Isn't that right, Braden?
It's crazy, Haden, that we're already 6 weeks through the college football season. We've seen a little bit of everything, but it's crazy that we're almost halfway done. And, well, here's the thing for Virginia Tech. They took on Wake Forest this past weekend, and things didn't look pretty for the home Hokies. It was the 98th homecoming game for Virginia Tech, as well as the orange effect. However, it would be the old gold and black that would be bringing the excitement. Second drive of the game, Kyron Drones under pressure, batted up and intercepted by the big man. Yes, you saw that right. That's Dallas Apalava, his first career interception inside the red zone. Connor Calvert will drill the 33-yard field goal and draw first blood for Wake Forest, but not the start the Hokies were looking for, Haden.
Yeah, not at all, Braden. I mean, you look how the O-line performed against the Wolfpack the week prior, and that play is very uncharacteristic of how they've been playing. Very lucky the Demon Deacons just got 3 for the Hokies where they were at and on the field.
Here we go, nearing the end of the opening quarter. Drones and the Hokies driving downfield. No huddle offense. 8th play of the drive. Give it to Marcellus Hawkins. His first rushing touchdown with the Hokies, lettering across his chest. 7-3 Tech after 1. We jump to quarter number 2. Huge third and down for the Deeks. Robbie Ashford under pressure, goes to the right, incomplete to Chris Barnes, but not so fast, my friend. Some laundry on the field. It's Ben Bell called for the roughing the passer, and we got the automatic first down. Crucial penalty, Haden.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge mistake made by the transfers from Texas State. The NCAA is trying to protect the QB more, and you can't do that on that part of the field, and especially on third down.
Well, it was a costly penalty, and the Demon Deacons would capitalize on the rebirth. That's Damon Claiborne just powering his way into the end zone for the 11-yard score. 10-7 Wake now. Hokies staying in the no-huddle offense. Just 6 plays, and Kyron Drones would find Sakai Heath on the slant route over the middle. 9-yard touchdown grab. How about the first career tutty for the Richmond kid? This second quarter was just booming with scores, Haden.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Braden. I mean, it was back and forth scoring, but you take a look at how the game was played and the way the Hokies defense was playing, it should be a two-score lead.
Big 3rd and 15 for Wake Forest. Ashford under pressure, just running out of bounds, shy of the sticks. But wait, is there some extracurricular on the play? There sure is. Our referee said so. 15-yard unnecessary roughness against Caleb Spencer. And once again, the penalty markers would give Wake Forest a second life. And deja vu, the penalty leads to Ty Clark III, this time rushing up the middle for the score. 17-14 Demon Deacons. Right before halftime, Robbie Ashford and the Demon Deacons not done yet. Firing over the middle, it's the big tight end, N.A. Falai, 6 points for the visitors, capping off a 21-point quarter for the visitors. 10-point lead at halftime, and Haden, it felt like everything was clicking for the Demon Deacons.
Yeah, just poor clock management from Virginia Tech, in which they had a chance to take it into halftime and have a 3-point deficit into halftime, but a pass play where a receiver ran out of bounds, it was a gift to Wake at the end of the first half, and the Deeks capitalized.
Third quarter, Virginia Tech's offense would get close, but they could not put up the 6 points. Instead, who do they turn to? It's the doctor, John Love, burying field goals from 32, 38, and you guessed it, 34 yards for 9 points for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Cuts us down to a 4-point game entering the fourth quarter. Wake Forest would go on to win the ball game 30-23 in a huge road contest for the Demon Deacons, handing Virginia Tech their first loss in the ACC and their first loss under interim head coach Philip Montgomery.
Yeah, going back to what I said earlier, it was just a gift the Hokies handed to the Demon Deacons. It was a game VT could have easily won this one by a few scores, but if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot, but credit Wake Forest for capitalizing on the mistakes.
Now, Haden, one Hokie that still stood out in the game was transfer running back Terrion Stewart. The bully ball mentality, as the kids are calling it, has been on a tear the last 2 games.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, given the Hokies a Bayshall Tootin sort of running with the amount of broken tackles like the ones we saw against NC State, and got a little banged up this past week against Wake Forest, so it's going to be a huge factor if Virginia Tech has a chance to win this weekend.
Well, if Virginia Tech wants to pull off the upset win in Georgia Tech this weekend, they'll need Terrion Stewart to continue to rush with fire. But another guy the Hokies could use a solid performance from is defensive back Isaiah Brown Murray. To tell us the story about IBM, and no, I'm not talking about the tech company, here's our very own Robert Bateman.
Well, it's safe to say it's been an interesting year for Hokies football. After last season, another swing and a miss at being competitive and going 6-7, it was clear change needed to happen in Blacksburg, and it came in the likes of an offensive and defensive coordinator change, plus 30 transfers. Now, in 2025, the transfer portal is ever prevalent, and it's way different than it was in this guy, Frank Beamer's head coaching career. So, players leave for all different types of reasons, right? Whether it's money, better team, more playing time. But for Isaiah Brown Murray, it's a bit of a different reason. After earning 3-star recognition in high school, the Charlotte native found himself continuing his football dreams at East Carolina. And it's safe to say IBM balled out. In 3 seasons, he posted 63 tackles, a forced fumble, which he also recovered, and an interception, which, in all fairness, isn't all that crazy. But you have to keep in mind, I-9's a corner, and their impact is never really seen in the box score. So if things were great with the Pirates, what made Brown Murray leave? Well, remember how I told you he was balling out, right? The only issue is, on the flip side, ECU really struggled. They ended up going 18-20 over 3 seasons, and head coach Mike Houston found himself out of a job. So now, Isaiah Brown Murray doesn't know who his head coach is going to be. Really leaves him with one option: hit the portal, right? And just like any great magic trick, ta-da! All right. All jokes aside, IBM did find himself a pretty nice new home in Blacksburg inside Lane Stadium. But no one could have predicted the firing of head coach Brent Pry. So 2 years, 2 head coaches. Leaves I-9 in a pretty rough spot, right? Well, despite all this, with first-year DC Sam Seifkes, IBM has shown out already in the first half of the season. And his impact was shown last Saturday with an interception, which he returned all the way to the 4-yard line for the Hokies. Now, there's still a lot of season left to be played for VT. 6 games to be exact. And with the Hokies currently sitting at 2-4, it's going to take a lot from the boys in Blacksburg if they want to get to their 3rd straight bowl appearance. Now, I'm no expert, and I don't know about you, but if I had to choose someone to lead my men into the battle, why not choose the lockdown corner, Isaiah Brown Murray, who's taking the gridiron by storm? Guys?
Thanks, Rob. All right, funny enough, Wake Forest was the last team both Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech has played. So we're going to start in the second half, Wake Forest with a comfortable lead against Georgia Tech, 20-3, as they try to secure the upset win. On 3rd down, needing a big play, Haynes King stays in the pocket, tries to create something out of nothing, and throws it in the back of the end zone to senior Eric Rivers to pull within 10. Big plays by veteran QB and wide receiver. Isn't that right, Braden?
Hey, you got to give credit to that offensive line, Haden. A lot of people overlook him, but it felt like Haynes King had so much time in the pocket, he could set down a nice blanket, enjoy a nice picnic all the way in the backfield, but a good find on 3rd down.
Yeah, I definitely am not getting that much time when I play Madden. But it's not just the offense making the big plays, as Clayton Powell-Lee gets the huge sack on the scrambling QB and Purdy to give the ball right back to the Yellow Jackets. Now hold on a second. With the ball back in the red zone, the king of Georgia, Haynes King, puts the team on his back with a rushing touchdown. This man right here knows how to finish out games.
Your Majesty, the King. I feel like we gotta call him that. He just makes it look so easy out there, Haden. He puts on an offensive field day every time he steps on the gridiron.
Yeah, obviously, Braden, it would be a disservice to talk about this play. So 3rd down, Wake Forest leads by 3. A 1st down seals the game, and you see on the left, defensive lineman not called for an offside, and obviously Ashford threw the ball because he thought it was going to be a free play.
Yeah, you know, this is one of those plays that they're going to be talking about for a long time to come. I mean, obviously neither of us are a referee, but you can see on the replay the cornerback just inching up, dancing just offside, but the referees say play on, and you just got to roll through the punches sometimes.
Yeah, anyway, the game plays on in overtime with a game-tying field goal, 23-23. Haynes King once again a hero on this Georgia Tech team as he runs in for the go-ahead touchdown to give the Yellow Jackets the edge.
Now here's the crazy. It's crazy, Haden, that Wake Forest held a 20-3 lead in this game, but Brent Key and the Jackets just will not go down easy. Now Wake Forest has some decisions for what they got to do on their offensive drive in overtime.
But you know, the old saying, defense wins championships. In this game, that was definitely the case, as Clayton Powell again made the game-winning interception on the two-point conversion to win 30-29 in Winston-Salem.
Well, I'll tell you, Hayden, sometimes you get a little too greedy. You go for two in overtime, but the Jackets have just found the winning formula behind a great defense and a stellar QB in Haynes King.
Yeah, there are a lot of good quarterbacks in the nation, but what takes to be a winning one is big-time plays and big-time moments, and he has shown that with his performance, like the game-winning run against Colorado in Week 1 and 2 touchdowns runs against Wake Forest.
I like that you're talking about the running game for Haynes King. It's something that he's turned into gear through the first 5 games of the season. You know, coming into the season, he was banged up with some injuries last season, but, you know, this year the running game has been truly unstoppable for Haynes King, and this weekend Virginia Tech is going to need to stop QB1 if they want to pull off the win.
Now, Haynes King was originally recruited to Georgia Tech before going to Texas A&M for 3 years. And when Brent Key was hired in 2022, he made it a priority to try and get King back in Atlanta. And for more on Brent Key and the team he has built from the ground up, here is our very own Lucas Harrison.
Brent Key enters his 40th game as the head coach of the Yellow Jackets since taking over the role 5 games into 2022. Since then, he has won 23 of the 39 games he has led and has led Georgia Tech to back-to-back winning seasons and bowl games for the first time since the 2013-14 season. In 2024, the Yellow Jackets were the Giant Slayers, with a pair of top 10 wins over ACC opponents, number 10 Florida State, Week 0 in Dublin, and a number 4 unbeaten Miami team with number 1 overall pick Cam Ward at the helm. Key, since taking over, has had a 7-1 record against ranked opponents in the ACC and has turned Georgia Tech into the trap games that nearly every ranked opponent has fallen for. Key got a start in coaching as a graduate assistant for his alma mater. And can you guess what school that is? Yep, it's Georgia Tech. He spent the 01-02 with the Yellow Jackets before moving to Western Carolina for a season. After that, he spent 11 seasons, 05-15, with the Golden Knights, not Vegas, of Central Florida. He worked his way up the food chain, ending with the assistant head coaching role with UCF, as well as having control over the O-line and the running backs. He moved to the Alabama Crimson Tide for 3 years, until coming back to Georgia Tech. He spent 3 years as the assistant head coach until being tapped to take the interim head coach position. He became the 5th coach in Yellow Jackets history to be a graduate of the school and the head coach. He played football for Georgia Tech, where he was a 4-year starter at right guard. During this time, Georgia Tech led the ACC 3 times and has been a staple of Key's time at the helm of the Yellow Jackets. Key has the Yellow Jackets ground game on fire with an average of 232 yards per game. This puts Georgia Tech 16th in the nation for rushing offense and only 2nd in the ACC, only behind Florida State. Since 2023, Georgia Tech has had 5 300-yard rushing games, with 2 happening in the first 5 games of this season against Temple and Colorado. The duo of Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley, who has combined for over 2,000 yards on the ground last season, have started off hot with nearly 6,000 combined on the ground already. Neither are the leading rushers this season, though. That honor goes to the Texas A&M transfer and QB, yes, QB of the Yellow Jackets, Haynes King. 380 yards on the ground and 7 touchdowns on the back of design runs and clean pockets from the 6th best O-line in the nation when it comes to giving up sacks. He is set to face Virginia Tech this weekend in Atlanta in the Battle of the Brents. Never mind. Interim head coach Philip Montgomery is looking to get back on the winning train after a loss to Wake Forest at Lane Stadium. Can Virginia Tech extend the all-time series to 13-8, or will Brent Key and the Yellow Jackets stay perfect and become the first team to capture bowl eligibility in the ACC?
Thanks, Lucas. Well, Hayden, we've talked a lot about the ACC, but you go across the country, we were on upset alert, all the way out from Pasadena, all the way on the East Coast. We start in the Rose Bowl. Penn State, the number 7 team in the country, favored by 24.5 points, taking on UCLA. The Bruins haven't already fired their head coach, are playing with house money, winless so far. And what does UCLA do, Hayden? How about take a 20-point lead into halftime? The Nittany Lions would claw back, but Nico with a short touchdown rush to extend the lead. And how about UCLA and their new offensive coordinator, Jerry Neuheisler, promoted just 4 days prior before the game. It was his first time ever calling plays on a sideline, and he worked a master class. But here's the play that everyone has been talking about. Game on the line, 4th and 2. Drew Aller fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, and what does he do? Runs right into the D-line What are we doing, James Franklin? A broken play, and UCLA would be going bananas. The first time in nearly 40 years that a winless team knocked off an AP top 10 opponent. And this is what makes college football so great, my friends.
You're absolutely right. You see Neuheisel lifted up in the air just like he was when he was playing for the Bruins. That's enough to make a grown man cry. But it's not only this game that was cinema. We also, when Texas visited Florida in the Swamp, and the Gators took a 19-7 lead in the first half thanks to a block punt by Taylor Sporetto to turn into a safety.
I'll tell you, Hayden, Billy Napier just has a way to get one big upset win each season. It always comes in just the most unlikely of circumstances, but this is the insanity that makes the SEC the SEC.
You know, Florida would continue this momentum into the second half as DJ Lagway threw a 20-yard pass to Dallas Wilson, who used his grown man strength to knock off two defenders to get in for the touchdown. Just an amazing play by the freshman. Florida would be able to hold off the comeback by Texas to get the upset win and give Billy Napier some room to breathe. Isn't that right, Braden?
Yeah, it sure is, and that's why the SEC is so dominant. But with these two upsets, there's some major shakeups in the AP Top 25 polls. What do you make of the recent polls?
You know, I'm not really a big fan of having rankings through the first 4 weeks because that's not really a good idea. You don't know how good a team is going to be. So it's around this time the media and teams know how good these teams are. And like Virginia or South Florida, you know, teams that have really caught the eye of the college football world.
Georgia Tech sitting comfortably at the number 13 ranking. Are the Yellow Jackets a potential dark horse for the CFP?
I mean, you look at the schedule for the Yellow Jackets and for the rest of the season, it's very favorable, not including the final game against Georgia. So if they can win 6 of the next 7 games, so that's hard for a college football team to do, and it's a tough task with the schedule. But, you know, they're definitely going to be playing in the ACC Championship and getting the eye of the College Football Playoff Committee.
Well, one thing is for sure, Georgia Tech is playing a pivotal game at home this weekend against Virginia Tech. Now, the rivalry between these two Tech schools has seen just about everything in its 34-year history. From amazing finishes, NFL-caliber players, and oh yeah, even jerseys with handwritten names on them. You know, my handwriting might be bad, but to investigate the 2007 scandal that occurred at halftime in the meeting between these two foes, here's Detective Riley Klaus on Jersey Gates.
When organizing a sporting event, there's a list of necessities, like a game to play, a place to play it, people to participate in it, and if there's teams, some way to tell who's who. But in 2007, in a matchup against Georgia Tech, 4-star Virginia Tech players were missing a key component of their uniform, their jerseys. So ahead of another matchup between Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech this weekend in Atlanta, let's take a look back at one of the oddest stories in college football history, now known as Jersey Gate. To start the 11th month of the year, an 11th ranked Virginia Tech team traveled down to Bobby Dodd Stadium. But on the team bus from the hotel, 4-star Hokies heard some very surprising news. Your jerseys are missing. Surely this couldn't be the case, but wouldn't you know, when they got to the locker room, the jerseys of quarterbacks Sean Glennon and Tyrod Taylor, along with star secondary members Cam Chancellor and Brandon Flowers, were completely vanished. So, with the team ready to start warm-ups, they needed a band-aid to the problem. So what did they do? They received practice jerseys of the opposition, Georgia Tech. While a temporary solution to the problem, these weren't going to cut it. So they started an arts and crafts montage straight out of a 2000s comedy by using the magic of a Sharpie to nix out the Yellow Jackets text and the Russell logo, replacing it with a hand-drawn swoosh and a personal touch by writing their last names on the back of the jersey. Now let's put the spotlight on quarterback Sean Glennon, who was nearly a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket himself. And here he was about to start against them in their jersey. Not only did he wear the enemy's colors, but he carved up the Yellow Jackets defense, throwing for nearly 300 yards and a pair of deep strikes to help the Hokies win it 27-3. So Glennon had a little fun in his makeshift uniform, but what happened to the original 4 jerseys? Well, we don't officially know, and Mr. Holmes has not been answering my calls. But although we don't know where the uniforms went, we do know forever where to look for one of the oddest storylines in college football history.
Thanks, Riley. I don't know about you, Hayden, but I'm excited to get down to the ATL and cover this game this weekend.
Yeah, me too. I'll be at the game to sideline report, and it's going to be a great environment, and so I'm looking forward to it very much.
Well, if you want to catch all the action, make sure to check out our 3304 Sports Mixlr page to hear the live play-by-play of Saturday's ball game. Myself and Cody Wagner will have the call with a 3:15 pregame show and the 3:30 kickoff in the Battle of the Text from Bobby Dodd. That's going to do it for us, though, here in the studio. Thanks for hanging with us. For our reporters, Robert Bateman, Lucas Harrison, and Riley Klaus. My co-host, Haden Tolbert. I've been Braden Schenck saying so long and goodbye from Blacksburg. Saturday, we'll see you on the road from the ATL.